Assalamualaikum, good morning. It's Saturday. I am bored. I'm going to share something about willpower. So you have to answer this question. There is a competition of tree climbing between an orangutan and you. Now, who do you think will win in this competition? You or this orangutan? Orangutan? And how about this? And then we have this competition of sitting and doing nothing, like what you are doing now, like what I'm doing now, just sitting and doing nothing. Who do you think will last? You or orangutan? Who can sit for 2 hours straight doing nothing? You or orangutan? Think about it, tell me the answer later. So, very likely that we can easily beat the orangutan at the sitting and doing nothing competition. But very likely also the orangutan can beat us. I think it's easily they can beat us to climb any trees, and they can climb more trees in a given time. So, but today we're not talking about the muscle strength. We are going to talk about the strength of the brain. It's called willpower, our ability to control ourselves. So we all have a willpower, and our willpower as human is much higher than the willpower of any animal, especially like the apes or orangutan. Okay, so again, willpower is our ability to control ourselves. What is so special about our brain? Well, you have to look at the research by very specific neuroscientists. The name is called, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Susanna Herculano Hausel. According to Dr. Susanna, orangutan has about 30 billion brain cells. Human, like you and me, we have a massive brain. We have a lot of interconnection between the brain cell, and our brain cell is massive. 84 billion brain cells. So you can imagine we have a lot more brain cells compared to that orangutan. So is it good or is it bad? It is good because we can use our brain for maintaining our willpower. We can control ourselves better, right? We can sit and learn. We can do nothing, just sit and learn. That's our advantage. Now, what is the problem with this 84 billion brain cells? Because there's a lot of brain cell. The neuroscientists estimated that if you have 1 billion brain cell, you would require like 6 calories of energy from food to maintain it. So you can try to calculate as if you have 84 billion multiplied by 6, you get around 500 calories for the brain alone, meaning whatever you eat every day in the circle of 2000 to 2500 calories a day. This is the amount of food that we eat. Around 20 to 25% of what we eat will be dedicated to the brain. Our brains is only 2% of the whole body mass, but it consumes between 20 to 25% of the calorie, which is a lot. So that is good in the perspective that our brain ability to learn and to progress. But imagine if we do not have enough supply of energy to the brains, or something happened to our body that will restrict the flow of energy from our body to our brains. That is when we have the problems of low willpower. But before that, I want you to think about these secrets of our brain. Where does it come from? So the secret to our success as human being is cooking. We have been using heat, we have been using thermal energy to enable the food to be released more effectively. So cooking releases food energy. When we digest it, a lot more of energy can be broken down. We get lots of this blood sugar called glucose, and when inside our body, it is converted into neurotransmitters. These neurotransmitters are chemicals that is used by our brain to signals inside the brains and enable us to think. If we don't have enough food, if our brain are not supplied with enough neurotransmitters, our thinking will be somewhat impacted. We are not able to control ourselves. We will have low willpower, and that is why having a good meal is very important. That is why having a good breakfast is important for learning and also for general working. Brain is also can be regarded as something like muscles. You see people who go to the gym. The first time they go, their body is kind of small. After a month or two, with lots of protein supplements, their muscles start to grow. Same thing with our brain. Our brain can actually become bigger and bigger. There will be more connection between the brain, and like muscle, our brain can become really hungry for energy, and in many ways that can create a problem because we need more and more energy to maintain it, to keep our willpower high. So the more connections form inside the brain, to make a decision, to do creative works, to think, the bigger is this connection, the bigger is our brains. So the problem is we need more energy to maintain this brain. There are many other occasions other than work. If you happen to go into social events, you have to please people, to make people like you, to be socially acceptable. You have to expend lots of energy of your brain. You need to use a huge amount of willpower. So after social events, after creative work, after thinking a lot to produce something, sometimes you don't realize you are thinking a lot. Thinking is going on behind our conscious mind. It is thinking right now. So we consume a lot of brain power, and our willpower is affected. We become low on willpower. We are not able to control ourselves. So you must have seen a baby who is not in the mood. What makes our willpower low? Okay, so I have here a checklist example to facilitate discussion. So you should ask yourself, is your work creative? Do you have to create new things, new lecture materials? You have to come up with a new song, new lyrics. You have to paint a new pictures. So you are doing creative works. So if you do creative work, chances are you have less energy to control yourself. You will always be kind of angry at people. Number two, do you eat on time? Do you have enough good breakfast today? If you eat late breakfast or you delay your lunch, chances are the energy supplied to the brain will be not as good, not as effective, not as efficient. So that will bring down your willpower as well. You have late meals, the glucose will be somewhat deprived. As we have learned before, I've mentioned before that if there is no glucose, there will be very low willpower, and you have problem with controlling yourselves. You may also have problems with health. Are you diabetics? If you are diabetics, or probably you have hypoglycemia, high sugar in bloodstream in diabetics, but it doesn't get into the cells or tissues, or you simply have low blood sugar. This is the reason why certain people, some of our friends, our relatives, they are moody all the time. Maybe they have this explosive temperament, always angry, impulsive, and they have trouble concentrating. So we have to understand this so that we can forgive them and understand why they are behaving this way. Okay, so to sum up, willpower is finite. You only have this much. Soon it will become less and less. You have problems. If it is high willpower that you have right now, you feel good, you become social, people like you. But if your willpower is low, starting to feel moody, difficult to control yourself. So you need to identify what are your energy sappers, what are the things that make your willpower low. So maybe you need to make sure your sleep is enough or better in terms of quality. Maybe you have to take frequent breaks or small meals. Make sure you have enough breaks, and you take good meals, especially during breakfast. Yeah, these are very important to make sure that your willpower is always high. When you can control yourself, you can be more socially acceptable by people around you. When you are in a bad mood, when your willpower is low, people will think you are a bad person, but you are not. You're just low in willpower. Okay, finally, again, willpower is your ability to control yourself. We don't really mean to have low willpower, but because our brain has like 84 billion brain cells, we need to keep on feeding our brain with lots and lots of energy. But the efficiency of the supply of this energy in the forms of glucose, even though we eat good stuff, sometimes because we are sick, we are not well, sometimes we don't have enough sleep, sometimes we are tired, so we use a lot of more energy than other during other times. So in order for us to keep our willpower high, we need to understand that the most important thing is to look after our health, especially our brain health. Okay, now you know. Thank you so much for listening and happy learning.